Alrighty, and welcome to the Thursday, August 3rd market wrap-up and trading update for today. All right, let's take a look at the markets. Let's get right to it and take a look at what happened today. So as we look at the markets here for the week, again, SPY continues to drop a little bit today, not as much as yesterday. Markets actually tried to rally a bit positive midday and then just couldn't do it, but did finish off their lows of the day. So finished down 1.9, which was a 0.3% drop. Not really a big deal on SPY. Kind of a mixed day. Really tried to hold on. If we look at the daily over here on the right, really tried to hold on to this 21 EMA. Didn't quite do it. We've got this previous support area here, which is now resistance. We came up to it today, tapped it. We'll see what happens. I mean, nothing definitive yet in the markets. We've got another area of support here around 444. We're going to see if this area holds. So anything in this area is fine. If it holds and we bounce higher, great. If not, we'll take a look and see what we have to the downside. But we still have to get through this support area. We've got this 50 exponential moving average. We've got the Bollinger Bands. We've got another support area here around 431, then down to the 200 EMA. MACD continues to drop, as does RSI on the daily. On the weekly, we got a little bit of a MACD turnover happening this week, and RSI dropping down from overbought levels. But that's all right. I mean, really nothing critical here that we should really worry about at this point in time. So nice pullback on the SPYs. We've had this, lower, higher low, higher low, higher low. And then we're going to see what happens here. We don't have a series of lower lows yet. This is just one lower low, and we haven't figured out where we're going. And then we've had higher high, higher high, higher high. So we'll see what happens. It's a pullback in the scheme of things. This could just be, if we end up moving higher here, this could just be another, higher low, and then we move higher. So we'll see what happens. Nothing definitive on SPY, nothing making me want to get long, nothing making me want to get short. We're just going to hang out and let theta work for us. We take a look at the Qs. A little bit different scenario here as we look at the Qs. Over here on the weekly, we did start to break through today, but finished above, again, this little support, which became resistance area. Now, we do have this potentially lower low happening here. So it's a little different on the Qs than it is in SPY. We are now looking at potentially a lower low here. So we'll keep an eye on what's happening on the Qs. MACD dropping, RSI dropping. We'll see if this area in here holds. If not, we're going to start to look for this uptrend line, or I'm sorry, this 50 EMA. I keep looking at the uptrend line. This 50 EMA in here, and then we have some more support. So we'll keep an eye on the Qs. Again, nothing decisive making me want to go one direction or another. And then if we look at IWM as well, this thing may be getting into a little bit of a lower low, but nothing definitive. It definitely bounced off the 21 EMA today. So finished down on the day, but only fractionally, pretty well unchanged, and we could definitely move higher. Now, MACD did move lower, so did RSI on both the weekly and the dailies. We'll keep an eye on what's happening here, but let's watch this current area that we're in here to see if we can bounce, move higher, and keep things moving. So we've got some overhead resistance up here that we did fail at, which dates back all the way to August of last year. Then we hit it again in January, late January of this year, and then we hit it again. So really a triple top on IWM. So we'll see where we go from there. But we've also got an area here where we topped out before selling off that could provide some support. Let's see if that happens in here on IWM. as we're looking at things. I don't look at this too often, but the amount of companies that are above on the S&P, above their 50-day moving average, had moved all the way up to 0.9, which is a pretty substantial little level here. Obviously, one's the maximum you're going to get to, but it was sitting at a pretty good high back here. So it was a good chance that we were not going to get a whole lot more on this particular move. So we've been as high as 0.92 or 92%. We got all the way up here to about 89 and change, but then dropped off. So as we move down into this middle area here, we'll see if things hold. Right now, we still have a good, I think, where did they close today? 66% of companies above their 50-day moving averages. So that still looks decent. Now, VIX continued to make some moves on the day. It was up significantly more, hitting as high as 17 till it dropped back off at the end of the day. So VIX actually gave up a fraction today, so a little bit lower on the VIX, but got MACD poking higher, RSI moving higher on the VIX. Let's see how high this thing goes, or did it get as high as it's going to? The 3 ATR was where we hit today, and then we failed to move any higher than that. So we'll see where VIX does this start to stair step up. The US dollar on the day had moved higher and then again finished off its lows. So the extreme move from yesterday was not really borne out today. We did get some morning follow through, and then we started to reverse, moved higher, finished off of those highs. But the dollar on this March higher has really been a bigger problem for some of the futures and other things that we're looking at. So strengthening in the dollar, getting a little tighter and a little bit high. But I think where the most damage is happening is in the bond market. Bonds got obliterated 3 sessions in a row here. So they got crushed on 8-1, pretty good crush yesterday, and then hammered even worse today. So TLT hitting new fresh lows, over the last several months down here at 94, finished a little bit off the lows of the day, but not the good sign for the market with TLT hitting lower. So we've got these previous lows that we're looking at back here, about 92 and change. We're only a little bit away from those. Now, can we, if we get down into this range, I'd be looking for potentially some support down here. Let's see if we get it. But if not, are we getting close enough to potentially put in a double bottom? And I think that's what I will be looking at is, do we get a double bottom here and then off to the races on bonds? And that's what I'm really looking for. I think this move on bonds is giving us that chance to get really a double bottom in here and move higher. You've got RSI becoming oversold today. You've got on the weekly, you've got it oversold on the daily pretty substantially, all the way down to 20, which is a pretty low reading. So we're now in the same territories that we were way back here when bonds hit their lows of the year. So, or lows of last year. So let's see what happens. I'm expecting bonds to move higher. Rates moving up has been tough on the markets because bonds are moving lower. But I really think that we're getting into this oversold territory. Doesn't mean we're done, but I think this is where you want to start to consider TLT or TMF, something along those lines. So there's where we are on the different indexes. Let's take a look at some of the futures today. 6A rebounded a bit on the day. So this is the Aussie dollar futures bouncing off of this trend line today at the bottom of its Bollinger Band that it broke yesterday. So I think we're overdone. When we look at the dollar as it moved higher here, unrelenting, do we get a little bit of a break on the dollar? But the dollar is really what's been hurting these foreign currencies. Strength of the dollar hurting these foreign currencies, which are selling off, but getting closer to an oversold area here. So, 6A, we look at 6B, which is the British pound futures, breaking through today, look below, but that finishing, terribly low on the day, pretty much unchanged on the session. So we'll keep an eye on the British pound here, but we've got some trades in that sector now. Nice pullback for us, getting closer to an overdone move. So let's see what happens. And then the euro itself, same type of scenario, broke the 21 and the 50 EMAs, but you got MACD maybe starting to reverse itself a bit here. Again, can this pullback be overdone? We'll keep an eye on that. Oil took a chance today to get back most of the gains that it lost yesterday, or most of the loss from yesterday, and gained back most of that today. Pretty good down day yesterday, even though oil inventories dropped by, I think, 17 million barrels, if I remember my numbers right. So about 17 million barrels. I pointed it out yesterday that was a pretty hefty drop overall. So when you got oil dropping by those kind of amounts yesterday, that's really pretty bullish for the market, and it's sold off along with everything else. But $17 million drop in oil inventories, and that's pretty substantial. They got to refill those inventories. Very bullish for oil. Yesterday, I think, was a one-day blip pullback. It was an opportunity to get long. If you are, I think the weekly is still looking very strong for a move into the mid 80s, potentially, closing in on that 90 mark. But I definitely think mid 80s, 85 in here is where we may be targeting oil. And if I want to take a look at this previous high over here, we're pretty doggone close to that now. So taking a look at this area here, this is sitting at roughly 83.6, 83.7. So we're not far off from hitting this previous mark here. We haven't really had only one pullback. So, maybe this is a second pullback. So a second higher low, and then we move higher. Didn't last more than a day, but very bullish oil here. I think having 1-1-2 trades on oil, naked puts on oil, and put credit spreads on oil are all good plays in here. Take a look at gold. What did gold do on the day? Continued to sell off a bit. Not really much of a move on the day today. Still continues to pull back a bit to the 21 and the 50 EMAs. Nothing that I would consider exciting. We finished relatively unchanged. Still bullish on the PSAR signal. We'd have to drop a little bit further to trigger a bearish signal. Doesn't mean that that's not coming, but I think you're right in the middle of these Bollinger Bands that are tightening up. I think it's a really great area to potentially look at gold strangles. Now, we have several on ourselves, but if you're not in gold strangles, I think it's a good opportunity. Taking a look at lean hog, continues to do a little bit of a nice pullback here towards the 21 EMA. Just another higher low so far, which is all very bullish on this nice pullback. We needed a pullback if you want to continue to get long on hogs, live cattle as well. Just bouncing around, trying to hold on to this 21 EMA. Nice pullback, really a good base, building some value area in here, building some nice balance, and then maybe take a look higher. We'll see how this goes. Now, nat gas. This is something we got into today. So let's take a quick look at nat gas and see where we are on this. Been really a tight range for the most part, but we dropped below this trend line. So we're going to pretty much wipe that trend line out since we're coming back. And let's take a look at where we might have some support in here. So if we go back to this previous high, which was around 2.5-ish in that range, let's bring a line across. And if we look at this, line, try to get it here. Tough doing this with a mouse, but that's where we came down yesterday and closed right on it. Today, we opened there and closed higher back towards the 50 EMA. I'm not saying we're all out of the woods on nat gas, but you had a nice little bit of a reversal on both RSI and MACD today. PSAR did reverse bearish 2 days ago on this move, but you're right in the middle of this channel, and let's see what happens. Volatility starting to pick up a tad. Weak on the weekly, but not horrendous down here. So we got that support going for us. Let's see where we can get to, but I think when you take a look at support levels here, maybe around that 1.96 would be our lows. So we could look at previous support areas down in here as an area to watch. So I think what we did today was we got long nat gas on a 112 trade. So a little chicken to do anything else, but oh no, sorry, on a strangle, not a 112 trade. I apologize on that. So we dropped a strangle. We are right in the middle of the ATR, right in the middle of these Bollinger Bands for the most part, which are pretty tight, which is a little scary. I'd like them a little wider, but we'll see what happens. So we're going to go with a strangle on nat gas. I am watching that one closely. I don't like it. It's a little nerve-wracking when you're trading that big of a multiplier, but we'll keep an eye on that. Bonds, we've already covered this in TLT. I put this little regression channel on dating back into here, and you can see how we've just stayed inside this channel so nicely, and we're right at the bottom of it. Tried to break through today, closed in it, so we are right inside this regression channel currently. Very oversold on RSI, getting pretty oversold on the MACD, although we can stay there longer, getting oversold on the weeklies as well. So we're breaking through some support areas that we had previously, so that's really pretty well gone. But that may, in turn, act as a bit of a resistance level. So let's extend this thing out a bit more as we go, because now we'll be viewing this previous area as a resistance level. I'm going to actually change the color of this thing. We'll let it ride in there, but we'll keep an eye on that. All right, and then I don't want to take too long to get into sectors. We're already into this a bit. XLK in this channel, it is some lower lows, so you have a little bit of a downtrend channel forming. Let's see what happens if we stay inside this channel, and then we're going to see, do we break to the upside, break to the downside on technology. XLY, same thing. We're in a little bit of a wedging type of a channel, but we held this support area here, this previous area that we would use as support. We did hold on to that today, finished higher, and what we got today, which was really important, is you got Amazon, and Amazon reported some great earnings after the bell today. So it's already up in after hours about 10 points at 139. So it's going to crank all the way back up here, which is going to really wreck this triangle and break to the upside. So you've got Amazon hitting another recent new high if it holds at 139 tomorrow when it goes live. So if you're long Amazon, congratulations on that. But that's going to push XLY significantly higher tomorrow, since Amazon and Tesla are two big components, and both were up today and going to be up at least on Amazon tomorrow. XLC, which is your Google and your Metas, nothing damaging here, not even to the 21 EMA. XLE Energy, nothing damaging in here. In fact, it rose today. So you had energy rebounding. XLF, actually nothing damaging here, bouncing off the 21. So only XLK is breaking a little bit, but it's still holding the 50. XLY broke the 21, hasn't gotten to the 50, and is going to bounce more tomorrow. So we are not seeing all the sectors, getting a lot of technical damage. Really, it's technology, and Amazon could help that quite a bit. Now, Apple reported after the bell today as well, and Apple is down about 3 points in after hours. However, it did beat the lowered guidance that it had. It just cracked its 21 EMA here, but it's well above the 50. It's going to drop a bit more tomorrow, maybe to the 187 mark. So now this little support area here might come into play along with the 50 EMA. We'll see what happens. It will break through that Bollinger Band. If it opens at that 186, 187 area tomorrow, it's going to drop down into here tomorrow. We'll see what happens in after hours tonight and tomorrow morning. But Apple doing it okay. So sector-wise, not a lot of problems. Microsoft, another one we are taking a look at here. Microsoft was down just fractionally on the day. It's taking a while to load our charts up on Microsoft. So we're cranking slow here. So maybe we'll switch out on these. But Meta, really a slight down day today, holding above the 21 EMA. Nothing to really consider there. Microsoft, probably the worst of the techs, has had now 2 lower lows, but it's starting to get to a little bit of an extreme or oversold level. So if you're looking to get long something, I'm not going to catch this knife yet, but I am going to keep an eye on Microsoft for a move higher. We'll see if it starts to crank higher. And then NVIDIA here as well. Trying to hold on to that 21 EMA a ways from the 50. Nothing to do there. Tesla, definitely held the 50, moved higher. It's been weak. We've got a gap here to try to fill. We've also got a gap down here to try to fill. But we'll keep an eye on Tesla, which looks like the MACD is trying to reverse. RSI trying to get restarted higher on the daily. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on how Tesla does overall. And then I can cover any other stocks tonight. We're getting long in the tooth here. So let's take a look at where we were on the actual account today. So if we look at our account on the day, let's bring that up. And let's move into the account. So here's where we ended today on our Income Navigator main trade portfolio that we have. Delta moved up a little bit more, but percentage-wise still at 0.16. At one point, we were over 5. I was looking at potential strategies to remove some positive delta off. Didn't have to do that yet today. We're still under the 0.2 threshold, so we'll keep an eye on this. And then if we get any move higher, that will automatically adjust some of our deltas for us. Theta stayed up at 880, so Theta's been good last couple of sessions. It's moved up a bit as we've gotten some volatility, so fantastic stuff, Theta. We did drop a fraction today in our net lick. Overall, it was a pretty good day. We did take a loss on a trade. I'm going to cover that. BP usage dropped back in to line a little bit more at 57. Little high, but I'm not too worried about it. We'll let it fly for now. We did take a $1,988 loss today, and let's get into why we took a loss, which is all good. They happen. We had 2 trades closed today. So we had a ZS Futures 112 where we closed the naked puts on this trade. So we closed this 110 naked puts on this for 25 cents. And that netted us $825 on this trade overall. So that'll be another winning 112 trade. But we also took a loss on a strangle today. So bonds, go figure. The bonds on this significant down move over the last couple of days didn't exactly hit our 2x stop. I just stopped out of it because I didn't want to have to keep track of it overnight. For all I know, bonds has hit their bottom and they may move higher, which is probably what's going to happen if I stop out. I stopped out a little early. I just took the loss, moved on. I wanted to get it out so I didn't have to watch it. So we ended up taking about a 187% loss. So not quite a 2x loss on it. It's all good. We ended it a little bit early. I'm okay doing that just to get the thing out of there. Freed up some BP. we ate the loss. We had a little bit of a gain the last couple of days anyway, so really hasn't had much of an effect on the portfolio so far, and we got that negativity out of there. So there's where we are on the day. One loss, one win on the day. Took a little bit of a loss of $1,900. We'll move on. We had made 1,100 yesterday, so pretty flat so far, down a fraction on the month. All right, there's our wrap for today. If you liked the video, please click the like button here. Please subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more training to go. And if you don't have notifications turned on, go ahead and do that. If you're interested in finding out what we're doing in the Discord, go ahead and check that out as well. If not, have a fantastic rest of your day. Happy trading. Take care, everybody.